Welcome.
Hello, everyone. We were having trouble with our audio a moment ago, so I kind of want to dance because I can hear the audio. I can hear the music and you all can't. But that's okay. All right. Give a second for everybody to hop in here from the waiting room. Hope everyone's doing amazing today. Okay, let's get started. So I'm Amanda Forrester with the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, and we're here today to talk to you about ChatGPT and how you can use this in your business to create efficiencies, save you time, and really level up your marketing game. We're going to spend some time on the marketing piece of this, but we can't wait to introduce you to some of the top ways that you can use it in your business. But what's going to be most helpful today is your engagement as participants. So once we get to the point where we're in ChatGPT and showing you what we're doing in there, let me move my screen over here. We want you to help us figure out, what do you want to do in ChatGPT? And let's do that live together so that you can see some examples of how it's working. So be thinking about that. Be thinking about examples that you'd like for us to play with. And that's what's going to make today really cool. So let's just start by talking about what this workshop is going to cover. And then I want to introduce you to our expert that's here with us today. We're going to talk a little bit about the background of ChatGPT and roll right into having him share his screen and start playing around with how to use it. And so first, we're going to cover what ChatGPT is, what you can expect from it. Then we're going to look at use cases, ways that we have found it to be really helpful in your business. We're going to be talking about prompts and how to prompt ChatGPT, particularly through our use cases and examples that we practice. Jeff has great tips for us today. And then, like I said, we're going to do some live practice so you can see it in action with things that you all want to see it do. So let me start first by introducing our expert, Jeff Robertson, who's here with us today. He's an advisor with us at the Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center. He works a lot in our Franklin County region, but he is our ChatGPT expert on the team and is here today to share his work with you. Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for taking the time to share with everyone.
Yes, thank you, Amanda. I certainly appreciate it. We got one note in the chat. They could not hear us, so I just saw that pop in. I'm looking at the participants real quick. Thumbs up, everyone. Bob, Thomas, a couple of you, if you can hear, okay. Carmia, I hope I said that right. You may have to jump out and jump back in and reconnect your audio. May be the thing. Everyone else seems to be hearing us as we go there. So thank you. Welcome. This is definitely a topic that I am excited about. It is a game changer. I met with the team the other day and we spoke about this, and like I told them, whatever level that your expertise is at, this helps you step above that a couple different levels. So hang on one second, Amanda. Let me type Carmia a note. She's having, she can't hear me. So when I told her she may have to log off, she didn't hear that. So may have to log off.
Jeff, will you put yours on mute and work with Karima on that? And I'll go ahead and start talking about what ChatGPT is and moving through some of that. So we'll make sure that they get access to being able to hear us here. It looks like everyone else is good to go. So ChatGPT is really a language processing tool, and it's driven by artificial intelligence technology that allows you to have human-like conversations And a lot of the way that we've seen this used publicly is in chatbots, right? Chatbots have been around forever. If you worked with us during the pandemic, we had a chatbot. So they're very, very common. And that's kind of how it started to roll out to the public. And now it's very much like that, but it's a conversation between you and ChatGPT. It can answer questions. It can assist you with tasks. Composing emails, writing, or even creating code, computer code for something you want to add to your website. We've done a couple calculators. We're like, we want this calculator to be on our website, and we've used ChatGPT to help us with that, so that we didn't have to hire that piece out. It was a really small thing that we needed, and ChatGPT was great at providing the code we needed to do that. So there's lots of things that we're going to talk about today, but that's the basis of ChatGPT. It is artificial intelligence technology that allows us to have human-like interaction and conversations with it to access information. So we have to do our due diligence, right? Before we start talking about getting in here and using it, we want to prepare you as business owners to understand what you're getting into. We want to give you some things to think about as you roll this out into your own work, or even maybe into your business and your teams are going to be using it. And so first, I want to start with what we've kind of coined as the 5 Ps of engagement. We made this up. I don't know that you'll find this anywhere, but it's really just helping you understand these are the 5 things you want to keep in mind as you use ChatGPT, and really any other. There's several others out there now that you can use. Today, we're focused on ChatGPT, but this really is relevant for any type of artificial intelligence that you're using. And the first one is precision. And this is just where you want to fact check the information that ChatGPT is giving you. Okay, it has access to so much that it's not always going to give you completely accurate information. I'm sure you've seen news articles where, professions have used this without fact checking and gotten into a lot of trouble. So just make sure that you're doing some fact checking and understand what you're using it for and what it's spitting out. It's not meant to copy and paste. 2 is polish. And this is really just adding your own vibe and proof it for inconsistencies and errors. Sometimes it's not great at grammar. So you want to make sure that you proofread it, but really also, instead of just scraping what it gives you and putting it out into the world, add your vibe to it, make it sound like you. It's really a great tool to have a starting point rather than starting with a blank page. And that's how we encourage you to use it, and really thinking about needing to polish it with your own perspective. Thirdly is probe. And what this means is really pushing ChatGPT or other AI technology to provide you more detailed and relevant information by asking it clear questions, follow-up questions, requesting clarification. And you're going to see Jeff do that a lot today. So you're going to get to see that in action. But it's a really important part of using this technology. You don't want to just type in a question, a vague question, and take what it says. You've really got to get into the weeds and keep probing ChatGPT to dig further. And again, we're going to show you how to do that today in a lot of the examples I know Jeff is going to share with you. All right, fourthly, paradigm. And this is really where you want to use ChatGPT as a starting point or as a tool to assist you in generating ideas, content, solutions for your business. You want to use it to challenge your assumptions and shift your perspectives. I personally love to use it for that. I love to tell it what I'm thinking about something and asking it to argue with me. Like, tell me what the other side is. Let's have what I call a rumble. Let's talk back and forth and really help me shift where my mind is on something. And it can help you do that. You'll see that in action today, but it's really using it as a starting point. And then fifthly is privacy. I want to really highlight this one. Don't provide sensitive or confidential information to ChatGPT or any other AI technology, because you want to ensure your security and protection of not only you, but also your business data. And this is really important if you were to start to roll this out to team members or employees. Really have to understand this privacy part. And I've got today for you a download that towards the end of the workshop, I'm going to put it in the chat for you. I'm going to put it in the chat. You'll be able to download it from there. That is a template for a policy you can use in your business. I encourage you to make it your own, but it's a great starting point and a template for you to use for yourself. But also, if you're going to implement this and other people in your business are going to be using ChatGPT, you want to create some policies around that. So I'll make sure you have that template and you can make it your own. Or if you want to work with us to make it your own, we'd be glad to do that one-on-one. So we're excited to share that with you today. Let's talk about one more thing before we get to the goods. And this is really kind of understanding ChatGPT and how it's used in your business, and just wrapping your mind around some of these concepts that are of concern to the public. And I'm sure you've seen a lot about this, and we just want to talk about it today. And I've got the no GIF in there, because a lot of people are just like, I don't know about this. I'm not sure I want to use this. I don't know how safe it is. And so we get that a lot. We get a lot of pushback when we start talking about this with businesses, or even in our own work, we're using it, and we've got to think through how do we use it? How do we not use it? And so I want to encourage you to do that today. But there's a couple of things here that are really important to think about. And one is transparency. And that is that all, generated content needs to be labeled if it is that. If you're not completely making it your own, you're copy and pasting or using generated content, it really needs to be labeled. And while there are no laws around this yet, it's just something we encourage everyone to do, is be transparent about when you're using it and how it's used. And so letting people know that, especially to your customers and your employees. It's important for them to understand that AI was used as a tool. I love going through this process with my son. He was a freshman in college last year, and teachers were freaked out about AI and the transparency, and now they're learning how to cite their work. And it's really interesting to watch how that's all coming to play. But you can go ahead and get ahead of the curve by making sure that you're being transparent in the way that your business or you are using ChatGPT. Data privacy. Of course, we need to ensure that personal or sensitive data that you might eventually learn to train AI models, or even as you're prompting ChatGPT, that it's handled appropriately, and that any generated content that you receive that has private data in it, that it's handled within compliance and protection laws. This isn't going to pertain to so much of what you do, but if you feel at some point you're really creating content or information that is going to be sensitive, I would encourage you to seek out legal assistance with that, just to make sure that you have everything covered that you need to, and even potentially insurance in place if that's what's needed for your business. But again, what we're going to be talking about today, we're not going to be worried about data privacy, because we're not going to give it any sensitive information. Fairness. This is the next two are things that we need to be thinking about. We've got to ensure that this content, this generated content that we're getting, doesn't discriminate against individuals based on protected characteristics such as race, gender, age, disability. We want to make sure that what we're taking and using is fair. And so this is where the proof comes in out of the 5 Ps. You want, don't take an entire page, copy and paste, and you're not worried about what it says. ChatGPT hasn't reached the point where it's able to identify that. And so you need to, as the human participating in this, make sure that you're using it fairly, and the information that you get is going to be taken through a fairness lens. Lastly is liability, and that's just really taking ownership and responsibility for harm caused by generated content, which is the importance of the transparency. You want to be transparent against it. And if you are going to use this in ways that there could be a lawsuit against you, again, you want to Make sure that you have a legal team on your side and that you have proper insurance coverage in place. Again, today, the things that we're going to talk about don't fall under that. I just want you to understand them as a business and not to take this too far without getting your ducks in a row, particularly if it's going to be paid for information or things that your customers or employees are involved in, and ensuring their privacy as well through the process. Let me stop for a moment. Are there any questions about what ChatGPT is or the things you need to keep in mind before we dig in with Jeff?
There is no questions in the chat at this point.
Awesome. Well, let's roll on with some of Jeff's examples that he's going to do today. I'll kind of key him up here, and then I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and he's going to come on with his screen to start playing around a little bit here. But these are the things we're going to cover today in your business. We think about it being 4 blocks. Research, which a lot of us don't formally call research, but as a business owner, you're constantly researching. I know this, you know that. So we're going to kind of, chunk that out as a piece of your business. And then we're going to talk about how are great ways to use it in the operations of your business, the day-to-day. We're going to talk about uses around employee management and HR that it can be really helpful. And then lastly, we're going to dig into a little bit of marketing, which we could do, 3 more workshops just on the marketing piece of this, but we're going to at least cover some of those things so that you can start to play around and use it in your business and how it might be helpful. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Jeff, are you ready to come on?
I am.
Okay.
All right. Thumbs up. You can see my screen. Man, just got it. All right. That's what we need to. Someone had asked the question a little bit about my background. It's very, very simple. I started on DOS computers a long time ago, and segued into Windows 3.1 into 95 and on up the chain. So I've officially dated myself. But the cool thing I can tell you is one of the strengths that I've always had is being able to figure out programs, being able to work inside of a Microsoft or a Google Suite, helping my team and everyone that works alongside of me. Technology, the front-facing user end of it has always come easy to me. And using this tool has made that even better for me as I've gone through. So as far as there's no technicals, I'm not officially educated in computers or anything like that. I've just been a user and an early adopter of technology. And I absolutely love playing with new technology. So really simple. So the cool thing is no matter where you're at skill level wise, this is a really easy tool to help you get to where you're trying to be technology wise, to get to where you be on a really simple, and like Amanda said, from just a conversational standpoint, you can have this conversation and we'll explain this or explain that, versus some of your other search engines where it's just giving you answers and it's not conversational back with you. But that's kind of just a little bit about my background as far as the technology piece. And we will jump into some of the research components to kick us off here. The cool part on the research side is it makes this really easy. So here we are, we're sitting inside of our ChatGPT window. To set this up, you go to the link that we're sharing with OpenAI. It'll say try ChatGPT. And then right here is basically the window that you operate in. So you can start off on just really simple. Hey, my name is Jeff. And it's going to start asking me. It starts like, hey, what can I do for you? So one of the things we want to look at from a research part of it is, let's see here. I'm thinking of opening a food business. Can you share give me the pros and cons of a food truck versus a brick and mortar. Pardon my spelling, I'll fix that. So here we are. It's going to give us the pros and cons of operating a food truck or a restaurant. So really simple. It gives us all the pros of the food truck, the cons, pros of the brick and mortar, and the cons here. So just a good way to jump out of the gate as far as figuring out, hey, what works best with you. Secondly, one of the cool things that I found here is with how folks use Excel and the formulas that are in Excel. And so we'll just move forward. You can keep everything within the same conversation, or you can start a new conversation if you want to change topics. So we're going to keep everything within here today, and we're going to see if we can get us some Excel formulas here. So I need and I'm going to be very broad here. I need an Excel formula for calculating payroll. What information do you need from me? So we don't know. So looking right here is it's going to need our employee information. It's going to need our payroll period, overtime policy, all those things. Once I have that information, I can guide you through. So even if you don't know, like just the little things of what you're trying to figure out, ask it, and it will tell you, what it needs to know, so you can make it, it can produce the information that you're looking for. So as you're approaching this and you have no idea, and you're like, you know what, I really want to learn how to do X, you can jump into this and just ask it to say, what do you need from me? I need to create a HR policy manual. What information? So I wanted to show you that again. And it tells you as you're trying to, and the biggest thing I wanted to show you here is you're doing your research. The cool thing with this is if someone tasks you with an issue, and like Amanda had mentioned, sometimes I will get something, they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, this is what we need. And I know the start and I know the finish, but I got to fill it in. And I need to go teach myself and learn how to do this. This is where this steps in. So feed it your questions and say, what do you need from me to make this successful? And you can keep explaining. So to make this, so when we look here at our key informations is, hey, look, we could say, what's good examples of number 4? So we're right here inside of our screen and we're looking at leave policies. So we want to so we don't have to go in and say, hey, leave policies and other. As long as we're inside of the conversation, we can really shorten down. So we can take each one of those categories and really drill down the information. So now the big thing you all can do as you're thinking here, before I move on to an operation there, is just a couple questions that jumped in about the immersion. How should we initially access ChatGPT? That's a great question. The OpenAI, the link that Amanda shared, you'll set up a free account there. ChatGPT is free. It's a free account. Sometimes it's hard to get into based on the number of users that are in at that point in time. ChatGPT Basic versus Plus. Plus allows you to use plugins, and it is the data is a little more current. ChatGPT 3.5 is up to 2021. I'll show you in a second what all we're not going to dive deep into GPT-4, but at the end, I'll show you what that screen looks like. So super cool. So let's take a look at some operation stuff. And while I'm in here, you all post your questions like as we're going, and I can grab some of those and we'll have those ready for the end. So let's take a look at some operation things that we have. We all generally now have websites, and as you're building your website, you're like, man, I need a FAQ page. So I'm going to ask it here. Can you write me a website FAQs for small. So this is our front-facing website that we have, and all I'm asking it to do is create me website FAQs for our site. Now, this really leans in hard to what Amanda had shared with us before about checking the information. So here is our website FAQs. Roanoke area. So look, we serve beyond the Roanoke area. So I can't just copy and paste and put this onto my website. You want to make sure that the information is good. How to become a member. We'd have to clean a lot of this stuff up, but here's the cool part is it's giving me the framework and some thought starters that I just need to go in and correct the information, especially like when you get down, if it puts in a phone number or anything like that. We just want to make sure that the information is correct, and you see how it labeled everything as one. So it just requires a little bit of cleanup to be able to use this information. But as you can see, it put out that information really quick for us. So we're going to move on, and we're going to say, can you create an email to support to bring attention to our upcoming presentation on July 10th, 2023. All right, so now I'm going to ask it to create an email about this presentation. It's created an email for us. It's going to give us a breakdown on what all is included. We just want to make sure that the information is correct. We can put our links in. Really something you spell check and make sure that it speaks your voice. And then look, we're going to follow up with this same thing. Can you create 5 social media posts to So just continuing the conversation. So now I ask it to create us 5 social media posts that would be helpful. Now, one of the cool things that we have in here, it's a negotiating tool as well. And this was an example that we had a So this is for negotiations. So the question in the prompt was, a supplier quoted me $2 per unit, but my budget only allows for $1 per unit. What are ways I can negotiate? What are ways that I can negotiate strategically and respectfully? And here's our strategy. And it just gives us something to read, something that we can something that we can work off of to give us a better strategy to be able to move through there. All right, so there's a little bit of operations. We jumped into some research there to begin with. So let's take a look at some more HR information. Let's say we're going to hire, I'm hiring a social media manager. What would be 5 interview questions? I work with a lot of my clients that they're running their business. They're not familiar with social media, but they know they need to hire someone. And a lot of them will reach out and say, Jeff, I don't even know where to start. So this is a great place. So we're going to hire a social media manager. What are 5 interview questions? So here we are with our examples of how do you stay up to date? I've had clients before that just didn't understand algorithm. And you're like, wait a minute. What is a algorithm? So we're going to ask it that. We can really go down the rabbit hole as far as the questions here. And we can let this tool teach us even more. So when we get into this interview, when someone says, oh yeah, the algorithm, we're like, oh, we all know what the algorithm is. So then we're going to go back to our social media manager interview questions, but can you create me a job description? Fix my spelling. And then here's our job description. You would copy this over to a Word document, edit it to fit your company, make sure it fits your voice, and then you are ready. Make sure you hit your requirements, and then make sure that you're ready to go. But you realistically are ready to take this, clean it up, and get it on Indeed with a little bit of ease there. So that's kind of the human resource piece. Very high level there, but hopefully it's got you thinking about tools or ways that you can use this inside of your business, especially for companies that don't have that. They're growing, they don't have that full-time human resource manager or what have you, and you're really trying to hire, you're trying to figure out as you go through there. Great tool to be able to work with this. So we looked at some emails and some social media, but let's take a little more, let's spend a little more time on marketing, and then we're going to jump into some Q&As and whatever. We'll see what you all have that y'all would like to have see the tool do. So let's take a look at some product descriptions. We're going to take our product description and we're going to broaden off of that. So I have a new All right, we're going to jump forward and then we're going to jump back here. We've got a well-balanced, we've got a brand new pencil. It's state of the art. So I was curious to what it was going to tell us. So here we are. It's already named it. I was curious to whether it was going to give it a name or not, because I didn't tell it what we were going to call it. So it's already gave us a name, the Precision Balanced Pencil. Redefining the art of writing. Here is our product description. And we just have to clean these up. Whether I like the name, I can change this. I can say, hey, I don't like that name. But here's where we can really take this. We have our pencil. We have our brand new, the Precision Balanced Pencil. It's give us a product description. Can you, again, create a press release for the product? Here comes our press release. Can you create a SEO friendly web page for the product? So here's our SEO friendly web page. Everything we would need to add on to a website is here. We would just need to clean all up and make sure I need social media. So if you notice, I'm getting brief about, because we're working on a project here and it knows what we're working on. I just said I need 5 social media posts to a company. So here's our social media post. Three YouTube. And here is our YouTube descriptions. I'm just continuing on with any, I'm continuing on with anything that's related to this product launch that I'm going to need to make this successful. I'm pitching a product to a group of never pitched anything, but I know I'm pitching my product to a group of investors. What's a good strategy? So understanding your audience, starting with a compelling hook, begin your pitch. All right, so hang on. We're going to finish with this one. Can you give me an outline for number 2? So then it really drills down what we are, what we're looking to do here. Now, so let's look here. It's kind of high level, but also I hope it's got your mind working of what you all, how you can use this inside of your businesses, how you can use this inside of your day-to-day. So let's take a look in the chat here for any questions. Amanda, do you see anything that's standing out there?
I'm capturing them all. You can just keep on moving.
All right. I wanted to show you all real quick on the ChatGPT 4, just to give you a look at that. We're not going to cover any of this, but it is our most capable model, advanced reasoning. You're limited to 25 messages every 3 hours. What's the difference between GPT-4 and GPT-3.5? So it will tell you. You just ask it. So the data is more up to date on GPT-4. That's all we want to cover with that. The other thing you're able to do inside of GPT-4 is use plugins. And with the plugins, you can see the outside. You're able to browse the internet. You're able to use all sorts of really amazing tools that are that will take. You can go to websites. If you're looking at anything on the news now, you're hearing a lot about data scraping, and websites are putting blocks in place to keep ChatGPT from going over, and that's how it learns. So a lot of folks are deploying it on Instagram or social medias, and so a lot of blocks have been put in place to keep that from happening, just because of the tools that are available on GPT-4. So I think we've got our marketing piece covered. We got our HR piece covered. So what questions do we have from the group?
That I think everyone might be on their mind, and Cosetta asked was, can you go back to one of your chats and show them how it saves the chat?
Yep.
So that you can go back and pick up the conversation at any time around that topic. And so ideally, every new topic that you're trying to talk to ChatGPT about or get an output on, you create a new chat and it saves it. You can see all of Jeff's chats over here in the left-hand column. And if 4 or 5 days later, he wants to go back and ask more questions or dig in more on that topic, then he can go back to that chat and pick up the conversation like it never ended, just like you would with a friend. So it does save those. Once you create an account and you log in, you'll have access to all of your past chats. And it's brilliant at remembering what you've told it. So you don't have to repeat yourself over and over. So for example, if you're going to use it for marketing, I would go ahead and start a marketing thread and go back to that thread every time you want more information, because it's going to remember all the details you've already told it, which saves you a ton of time on your end.
Really, really cool. And I had set this up just for that question. And I'm glad this came up. So I won't go back to the original. Over to my history, what kind of food trucks are in Roanoke, Virginia? It doesn't know because it can't see the outside, but it's like, hey, here's some suggestions, go check this. So it told me, it basically said, hey, I can't help you because I can't browse the outside internet on ChatGPT 3.5. So we're gonna come down and we're gonna look at, I've narrowed down to number 2. What are 5 top? Me and my spelling. So now we're going to be doing a taco cuisine, taco and Mexican cuisine food truck. And right here, I'm like, I don't know anything about cooking, but I can find out. It's going to give me the recipes. And look, it's not only giving me the recipes, it's telling me the instructions to go along with this and how to do each part of it. And then from there, we can get into the marketing campaigns, everything that we showed it to. And then one of the cool parts is like, what's a good name? We'll scroll down. So it's telling me like, you know, it's whatever. So it's not giving me a name yet, right? It's based in. So here we are. It just gave us suggestions. Now, the Roanoke Food Co-op, it's already taken. We know that. So we got to make sure that we do our research or whatever. Star City Food Truck, I don't think it is. Roanoke Bites. So look, let's say we're going to go with Tasty Trails. The problem is none of these really sound taco Mexican type cuisines, but we're going to go with Tasty Trails. We can dress that up. So we're going to say, you give me more suggestions that reflect tacos. And so we are just going to say, I'm going to come back to that Tasty Trails here in a second. So now we're getting into our niche names or whatever. You know what? Spicy Wheels is probably going to be it. Can you create me a marketing plan for number 5? Spicy Wheels is it. And then here comes our marketing plan that we will be able to take as our framework and really expand out really expand out into our social medias, our marketing efforts, and all those things there. Define your target market, your unique selling proposition, branding and visual identity, online presence, content marketing. It tells us everything we need to do as a playbook to be able to get going. So some of these, and you're like, oh wow, what are examples of number 8? Again, you can cut and paste, you can use the numbers, but right here, it's going to give us our number 8 was our customer loyalty program. If you don't have a loyalty program inside of your business now, or you don't have a referral program, go to ChatGPT today, put your business information in and say, hey, can you create me a customer loyalty or referral program, and see what it tells you there. So birthday rewards, referrals, and you can really just keep going and asking as many questions that you need. Any additional questions, Amanda, as we move?
I think I have everything. We do have a couple I want you to go back to. Let me scroll up here. And one is from Bob, and he's wanting us to go back to the position description that you did early on. If you can find that.
The product description.
I think the position. Did you do one for HR early on?
Yep. Hang on one second. Here it is. There we are.
And then he just asked, can you point it to an example you want it to follow? Bob, we might need more follow-up on that, but.
So Bob, you can on ChatGPT 4, and I think what you're asking is, can you say, hey, use this example? There's a couple of things. You can cut and paste, and I'll show you here. We can take this entire thing and paste it in. I can't remember the character limit. So if you already have answer your question, is if you have so let's grab one.
So Jeff, it looks like you're grabbing a job description that you found and pasting it into ChatGPT. Can you share a little bit more about what you're doing here?
I didn't mean to mute myself. I've been talking the whole time. I'm sorry. So what I did was I was moving my bar around and muted myself. I went over to just a tab, did social media manager description, and I pulled up a template from another from a website and just said, and what I'm going to tell it here is I'm going to do away with this part. Customize.
This Bob followed up, and he has a specific format that they do position descriptions in. And so Bob, I think like this, you could share that format with ChatGPT and ask it to format it in that way. You can tell ChatGPT exactly how you want things formatted. So for example, we're using it for business plans, and we tell it exactly how we need it to look, like how many paragraphs, do we need a table? You can tell it to do that, or give it an example. You could paste one of, just like Jeff is doing here, you can paste one of your descriptions and say, follow this format. And you'll probably have to clean it up a little bit. It's not going to be perfect, but it'll be pretty close to what you need it to be in a format wise.
Yeah, and here's what I did is I cut and pasted, and I didn't read anything. I just grabbed a job description just for the sake of time, but it did a really good job. And I just said, hey, the position is going to be for us. So it took it and it cleaned everything up. Now, Bob, one thing I'll tell you is once you get these in the specific chat, you can keep referring back to them. And you can make them better. You can clean them up. Like Amanda had the other day is we were playing with something is you can say, can you put this in can you create 5 onboarding questions in table format? So we're going to take Bob's semi-question and we're just going to do this. So versus a broad in paragraphs, we told it to put it in table format. So now we can cut and paste this over to Excel. We can put it on a Google form, ever how you want to send the questions out with the purpose or what have you. So you can tell it what format you want to get the information back in as well. And that is really helpful when you're doing anything inside of Excel along those lines too. So make sure that you play with that on your formats and what you're expecting to get it back with. Hope that answered the question. Anything?
Looks like that was really helpful. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I have a couple other things here for you I wanted to ask. Let me back up. We've been talking a little bit about citing or what you would say to be transparent. So check the chat out for that. There are no formal definitions of how to cite something or say that something's AI generative. You just would say, this is content is AI generated or partially, however you want to say that. There's no clauses around that. It's just about being transparent that AI or generative AI was used in the production of materials that you might be sharing publicly. There's a couple of.
So there's your guidelines, and I just asked that to cite ChatGPT. There's your references that you can use, and you just ask it. That's always the cool thing is when you're not sure. Like Amanda said, there's noise, but there's no legal side of how you can use this until you use it inappropriately in a capacity. Like the article we all read about, there's an attorney that just asked ChatGPT to spit out a brief. He submitted the brief without proofreading and then was basically, it was not accurate information. The ChatGPT had cited cases, and I think maybe it even made up some cases to support the cause. So it wasn't factual information because it can't see anything current. It's only 2021 and previous. So it wasn't, I think it may have made up some data or had created its own thing to support the data or something like that. It was a unique situation, but all right.
Jeff, what you see here with the citings, that's an academic site. So you don't need to put that, let's say you're doing social media content or you're writing a blog post, for example. You don't have to use those citing sources. That's only in academics. You just need to state that and you can look at any news organization. You'll start to see they'll have just in italics, AI generated content or partially generated content, anything like that you can say. But Jeff, here's a question here that just says, is there a limit? And I know there is, I just don't know what it is. Is there a limit to the amount of threads one user can create and have saved in the basic plan?
But before I switched to a paid account, I don't think I ever had any issues. Yeah, I will. I'm not sure on that either. I've never got to the point to where it said not. And it's going to give you information up to 2021 that it does not that there's no official limit. I can tell you the only thing the frustrations is for a non-paid account is sometimes just the server load, you can't get in. That's been the frustrations for everyone that's using ChatGPT, is that you can't get in at peak times and things like that. I've never had anyone say, I ran out of threads. So I'm not sure exactly. You can delete your threads. And I've done that a couple of times just to start over. You can also go into your settings and you can delete all your conversation history that you've had with ChatGPT as well. So but I'm not aware of any limits to the threads.
So someone's asked, can you talk about the knowledge cutoff mentioned in that thread?
Yeah. So basically what we're doing right now, we're kind of in a phase of ChatGPT where its information is up to date up to 2021. And basically they're doing it because it's still learning. It's constantly learning, but no one's ready to, outside of your plugin uses. It's not current information. ChatGPT 3.5, it's going to give you information up to 2021. It's constantly getting fed information, but it doesn't have the ability to go seek real-time information. A lot of that has to come back to making sure that what we're feeding into ChatGPT is vetted and that it is good information. And it's not made up information that's being used to train this tool. That's probably one of the biggest things. And then when you go to the outside links through the plugins, all that information is through ChatGPT 4. So you have a little more, but it's still as far as the information that lives inside of ChatGPT, it's only current up to 2021.
And Marcia, I know you've asked, is ChatGPT aware of plagiarism restrictions which prohibit us mortals from merely copying and reusing anything that is published out there without checking if copyright is restricted for a given published source? It's a great question and something that you'll constantly see articles that there's arguments about. Just remember that when you're working with ChatGPT, I know everyone's heard this, oh, it's scraping the internet or it's scraping sources. It is a conversation like you and I would have. So if I'm sharing information with you today that I've gathered over, a year of experience with ChatGPT, I'm not citing or copywriting, I'm not sharing any of that specific. I'm doing it from my experience. ChatGPT is doing the same thing. It's not scraping anything and saying verbatim, here you go. And you can test that by, if it gives you information, you can copy and paste it into what some people call the old Google search browser, not Bard, but Google search, and see what comes up. And typically you won't find it anywhere. It is a natural response from ChatGPT, but it's such a good question. There's a lot of conversation I know going around in the law industry as well as academics, where a lot of that is being pushed and questioned. And I don't have the answer for you. There's certainly a more knowledgeable answer that exists out there. I encourage you to seek that out, but know that it's conversational and it's not actually giving data from another source, that it hasn't, it's not just regurgitating data from somewhere else.
One thing that I've done and played with a lot there is asking it questions, but when it creates any kind of content for me, a good tool I use is Grammarly. And I've placed articles over in Grammarly. I've took content over, and Grammarly's got a plagiarism checker, and it's always been good. But here's what it's telling us. The answer is to prevent plagiarism. It takes several measures. So training data, model architecture, ethical guidelines, and then your user feedback and monitoring. So the stuff that I've posted has been, or that I've checked, has been less than 1% plagiarized. So that's like really good original content that the machine's created. So.
Jeff, if you don't mind, I want to answer a couple questions. We are right at the time to close out this workshop, but I want to make sure the people that have asked, we can get some questions, some answers to you, and then let everyone go. And if anybody wants to stay behind and talk with us a little bit, we will do that. We didn't get a chance to take your examples and put them in ChatGPT, so perhaps we'll follow up with that. But let me ask a couple of things. I know there seems to be several people interested in more advanced plugins and ways that you can use this operationally, and that we're not covering today, but we will certainly take some of these things that you all are asking into consideration and see if we can do that. Some of it is software development, which we would not be helping you with or training you on, but certainly could guide you in that direction. We actually have software being written for us right now using AI, and we'd be glad to share those resources. There's a couple others. Jeff, does the 2021 limit include info in version 4?
Yeah. It's the data is the same. What's stored and what is in there is up to date through 2021. The version 4 allows you to go out and use it to browse links. You can read PDFs with it. That's a difference. It allows you to go out and it will base responses off what it finds on the internet and bring it back. But as far as without using any plugins or anything like that, it's going to be 2021.
And remember, although we're not doing that today, Bard is the Google version of this. It's different. It's not the same thing, but you can use it in the same way that you saw Jeff using this today, which is completely up to date, to today at 1 o'clock. So Bard is another option. We could spend a lot of time talking about when to use which. Today, we're not going to do that, but if it's something that you want to chat about, we could certainly chat from our experience level of what that's like. But certainly if you want, which I love for research, I like to use Bard for if I'm looking for specific research items because it is up to date, where ChatGPT is more scenario based. Let's see, can ChatGPT be driven by microphone? I know that the answer is yes, but Jeff, I don't know how far they've come along with doing that on the app versus the desktop.
Yeah, I've used it on the app. For everyone that's on here as well, the app is downloadable. It's you can actually use it to replace Siri. I don't know if you can see my screen on my phone. That's what the icon looks like. You can do voice. You can use it, and it's really a great tool as well to have on your phone. The cool part is once you log into your phone, any conversation you have on your phone is stored on your desktop as well. So all the data that you use is accessible. You just can't use plugins under GPT-4 on your phone yet. And GPT-4 just became available last Thursday, I think, during our team meeting because it was all bottlenecked up. But I have not used anything on the desktop voice-wise.
I know Jared asked, how is ChatGPT trained? That's another long conversation, but if you go to the OpenAI link that we shared with you, there is a place on there. I can't remember how to navigate to it, but you can find, it'll talk exactly, not exactly. You'd have to watch a lot of videos for that, but it'll talk about where this information comes from and how it's trained. And it's a very complicated model that you could actually look up. There is a model that you can see. We don't have that here to share with you today, but it's interesting if you're fascinated in how all this is developed and how you can teach it to do things. That's a whole nother industry that you can look into for sure.
One of the cool things that's being deployed with this is just interactive chatbots for websites. That has been the biggest thing that has really stepped onto into the marketplace. Is a lot of companies are using ChatGPT just to serve their customers on a non service time, so to say. But a lot of websites are using this to be able to answer questions. The ChatGPT learns about your site, and you can use plugins, and you just have to have some specific things there. But that's been one of the cool things that has come about as well.
Okay, everyone, I've got a couple questions here. I'm answering on chat. We're over time, so we're going to let you go. Feel free to drop off. I can stay on for another 5 minutes or so. I think Jeff can take 2. Yep. want to ask specific questions, we have recorded this presentation and it will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. You can find us on YouTube at Roanoke Regional Small Business Development Center, or RRSBDC is the actual URL for that. And just follow along there. If you subscribe, you'll get a notification that it's been posted so that you can rewatch or share if someone would find this helpful. And we certainly are going to take some of the questions that you have today and figure out, maybe we do an FAQ on our website for you to answer some of these things in more detail or provide another training. We'll certainly give that some thought. But thank you all so much for joining us today. We appreciate you and your time. We hope that if you haven't reached out to a small business development advisor where you live, to do that can be a very helpful resource, even if not around ChatGPT. There is lots of information about that. And certainly if we can help in any way, we'd be glad to, or even to connect you to your SBDC center if you're not in the region that we serve in the Roanoke, Virginia area and the New River Valley. So thank you again for coming today. We're going to stay on for a few minutes if you want to ask more questions. Otherwise, we hope to see you in a future workshop with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. We're always putting something out there as well. Our SBDC, as we get different things, as this technology, it changes by the minute, it seems like, but we try to stay very up to date with the content that we put out there as well. Lots of helpful tips that we put out through our social media channels. So thank you. Any other questions? Let's go. I got time. Nathan, you got anything good? Bob? Have you guys used this, or ladies, anybody that's still, I can't see my full list, but who's used this? And how are you using it? I'm curious. Yeah, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah. Brands uses it. I need to use AI tools on Sandbox, PC. Yeah, thank you, Jody. Jody was here. Thank you, Jody.
Yeah, for you all that are waiting, download that app on your phone. That was a game changer for me. When it was just on my desktop, I was using it rarely. And now that it's on my phone, I can use it much more because it's mobile. So definitely check out. Be careful when you search for ChatGPT. OpenAI is probably not going to be the first thing that comes up. There's a lot of people paying for that top link. So just be careful. It is the link. I can share that again. And when you look, in your app store, make sure that you're looking for that logo. That's the logo you're looking for.
Marcin hasn't used it. So Marcin, maybe just maybe log in and just see there and ask a few questions and see how it goes. I think that's, I think those are Marcin, an IT guy. Yeah. I'm with you there. I've talked to a lot of IT folks and just some of the noise that they're just reluctant, and it's a game, it's new and it's different. So I understand that exactly what you're saying there.
One of the things that I've found fascinating, my husband's a software developer. And so of course, for a while, he's like, no way, don't trust it. And now as he's building up his team and they've had to hire a lot of people, he's using it to decode or to debug code. And it does it way faster than anyone he can hire can do it. And it allows them to learn how to do it. And he has used it as a learning tool, which I think is really cool example of how it could be used. It's not replacing anyone. It's making their jobs easier, faster, and they're learning better by watching it do the code. And of course, this code isn't protected under rights. It can be public domain. You want to be careful about that. But it's really fascinating to watch how people are using it. And certainly always say use it with caution.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marcin, that's great. I would encourage you all to, just brought up a thought of mine, when you register for account, or if you have already, make sure you go back and read the terms of use. They are very specific about what you can't do. And honestly, you will get, if you ask something that is in their terms of use that it doesn't want you to ask, you will get an email. And I think you get one warning or your account is taken away. And we know a lot of people that have gotten warnings and they're not doing anything bad. They're just asking things that are in the terms of use that it's not going to go there. So just make sure you read those. It's not like this law thing that you're not going to understand. It's very clearly written. And I encourage you, I know most of us don't read that stuff when we sign up for things, but I really encourage you to read the use policy on ChatGPT. You don't want to have your account taken away and then you can't use it and have to keep hopping softwares. Certainly there'll be a lot more of this out.
Yeah, definitely. It's been good.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. I think we'll end here. We will provide the recording on our YouTube channel. We usually wait just a little bit for those of you that have paid to see this. We don't provide that out to the public. This has been of high demand. So we're going to publish that on YouTube. And when you subscribe, you'll get that. And if there's other materials and things like that we can help you all with, let us know. I put this in the chat earlier, but I'm not sure if I even announced it. I'm going to put it in here again for you. The policy template, if you want to use that, we'll also have that on our website. But encourage you to think through the use. If it's just you and your business, then you personally can think through that. But if you've got other people who are going to be using it, we encourage you to write some policies for them to be aware of that are important to you. And we provided a template for you to use, but please, adjust that to your comfort level, right? If there's things you don't want them to use it for, outline that. And it's definitely okay to choose how it's used and not used. Well, we can't wait to hear how you do use it. Thank you for coming today, and let us know if we can be of any assistance to you and your business. We want to see you grow and excel. So have fun with this. And thank you, Jeff, so much for
absolutely
that today.
Thank you, Nathan.
Good work.
Yeah, thank you. Give me some feedback on that. I'm always trying to get better about that stuff. That was fun. Hope it was good.
Yeah, I think everybody, I was trying to look through some of the things we didn't get to that were very advanced.
I followed, I printed, you weren't here when me and Heather was talking about, I followed your speaker's notes. I tried to stick to your speaker's notes. I printed those off, and that's why I was fumbling papers, but I tried to follow your speaker's notes, like give 2 here, 3 here. So I just moved through those is what I was trying to do there, but I don't, I think there's another time and place for an advanced class.
Oh, no. Yeah. This stuff is stuff we would never talk about. One, from a legal perspective, some of the things that they're asking, and 2, they want to create automations in their business, which are even beyond and above the plugins that are available. And that's like a whole, we don't teach people how to program, and would never go there. That's just not what our role is. So, but that's, a lot of people want to use it in that way, or they want to create their own chatbot, right? Which you don't do inside a ChatGPT. It's a software that you developed. And I think, it's a hard thing for people to understand the difference between the two.
It surprised me, and still that it's just that smaller percentage is that we had this many people here for us, and then 34 registrants for that was really cool. And then but so many people haven't used this yet.
Yeah. It blows my mind all the time. Do you know where Nathan's from? Do you know who Nathan is and where he's from? He's got a distillery. I'm just really curious where he's at. He's got some really cool ideas about how he wants it. He kept direct messaging me. He didn't share any of his stuff with the public. And He basically says, I'm setting up automations from a distillery. I'll be testing and measuring my products to the molecular level. And my goal is to complete data sets by doing minimal tests in a specific variable. I'm hoping that I can get 3 tests of a constant to have the results delivered to have a range of accuracy. So he's using it on a lab level. I'm just really curious where he's from. I have to look at the list.
Are you looking in, Heather?
He's in Orange County in Gordonsville. So Central Virginia.
Can you tell if he has any advising sessions?
Yes, he's had a couple with Rosie.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to make sure he's.
I'm surprised they haven't connected him with Chris.